Welcome back to the channel. It's John the Realtor with Iron Valley Real Estate. And today we're going to talk a little bit about how you can sell your home as the market's shifting more into a buyer's market. For many years, it's been a seller's market, and it's still pretty much a seller's market in many ways. However, we are seeing things shift more into the buyer's favor. So if you're trying to sell a home right now, you'll want to stay tuned and find out how to sell your home in a buyer's market. The first thing we want to talk about in selling a home in a buyer's market is appropriately pricing your home. Now that's done multiple ways, and the best way to do it is getting a person like myself or someone on my team, Aulegre real estate team at Iron Valley Real Estate, to go ahead and run what we call a comparative market analysis on your home. And we're going to do that by gauging what the value of your home could be and should be listed for in order to sell it, and sell it at the right price so that you'll get the buyer that's interested in your home and you will have a smooth transaction all the way through. Some of the things you need to look at when doing that is there's going to be a range after the market analysis is done. And that's going to say, hey, we've seen comparable homes in your area, similar square footage, similar beds, similar baths, sell at this particular price range. And that could vary. And that could be, let's say, a spread of $20,000. So we could say in the low end, something was at $300,000, and at the higher end, something in your neighborhood was at $320,000, very similar to your home. So what you're going to need to do there is most people automatically want to say, hey, let's list it at 320 because that's what someone else sold their home for recently. But in the current market, as it's shifting into a buyer's market, you may want to consider listing your house at the lower end. And the reason why is because things change over time, appraisal values may change, people's pre-approvals may change. So if they've already been pre-approved and 320 is really pushing them at the pre-approval, if any slight interest rate change or any slight change happens in their personal finances, that could no longer qualify them for the home. But if 320 was a buyer's max and you have your home listed, let's say at 305 or 310, then they may be able to still be there. And even if something fluctuates, still pre-qualify for the loan and be able to close on the home, which is ultimately in your benefit because your goal is to sell your home. We want to be the ones to help you do that. So now we talked a little bit about that comparative market analysis and what that may look like for you as a home seller. And we already talked about maybe we're going to list it at a little bit lower end of that range. Some of the benefits to doing that is that you're going to drive more traffic to your home because it's going to be more competitive in the market overall compared to the other homes for sale. And when you think about real estate and what helps you sell your home, it's days on the market. You may have heard of that before is DOM. What that stands for is days on market. And that's critical when selling a home. You ideally do not want to have your home sitting on the market for too many days because people smell blood in the water and they'll come circling like some sharks trying to figure out how they can get the best deal out of you and take a bite out of that price. The best way to protect yourself from that is knowing going in that you're listed at the lower end of the range, but you're very competitive. You're probably going to bring in a strong buyer that will be pre-qualified and be able to purchase your home. That's one of the advantages to lowering at that lower end. The next thing is, after we've appropriately listed it at the right price range, then we can market it out so that we can have an open house for you right away, drive the traffic, get people through. And you never know, even though you list it at the lower range, an agent may bring a buyer in and say, hey, this house is very competitively listed at the price that it is. They might get multiple offers. And just that psyche of knowing that there may be multiple offers on the table could get a buyer to really want to put that offer in sooner rather than later, hoping they don't get into the multiple offer situation. Or as a seller in your favor, if you do get multiple offers, one may drive the offer off the other, and you could potentially sell your home for a higher price. It's never a guaranteed thing, but these are all the different things that you're thinking about when you're selling a home. How do you get your home sold for the right price for the current market so that ultimately you reach your goal of getting the home sold and moving on to the next phase of your life? Another thing that you could do right now in the market as it's shifting more towards the buyer's market is strongly think about doing a pre-listing inspection on your home. That way you can see, hey, what's the current condition of my home? And are there any minor fixes that we should just go ahead and take care of now before a buyer gets the home under contract and they go into their home inspection phases? It just gives you some more peace of mind in knowing you're not going to have any surprises. Ideally, things aren't going to come up where the buyer's like, ooh, they get a little bit concerned. If they're first-time home buyers, sometimes they see some of the things on the home inspection that ultimately are not a big deal and are easily fixable. They just don't know that though because they're first-time home buyers. So that could scare them away from moving forward with the deal. But if you do a pre-listing inspection, you're already going to put that at ease by knowing there was a pre-listing inspection. And then we as agents can talk to the other agent and say, hey, we just had a pre-listing inspection, and be completely transparent with what you have. Let them see what you're going with. They'll know that. They'll have their own inspection independently taking care of their client. And ideally, it'll make the transaction a lot smoother. So we on the Aulegre real estate team at Iron Valley Real Estate are willing to offer our sellers right now the pre-listing inspection, and we'll take care of that because we want to go into the transaction knowing that we're the best fit for each other. Your home is good, it's going to sell, that's your goals, that's our goals, and we want to make sure that we can all meet each other's goals and work together as a team to get your home sold. So pre-listing inspection is definitely a way to go. You get a reputable inspector to come in and do a full-blown inspection on your house. And hey, who knows, maybe you decide that you don't want to sell your home later on, but you're going to have a great health check for your house and be able to know how to maintain it for years to come. As they say, preparation is key, and selling a home is no different than anything that you need to prepare for. And part of that preparation for selling your home is that you're going to have a great communication plan worked out with your real estate agent and your overall team to make sure that we're able to meet your needs and you're able to make decisions quickly, as communication is key in a real estate transaction. And so one of those things you might want to think about is, in the current environment as it's shifting more towards the buyer's market, is having that discussion about what a closing cost assistance look like if we were to offer that. Now that's something you may not offer right up front on the listing to say, hey, we're gonna give closing cost assistance for this transaction, but definitely have that conversation with your team so that you already know, if you will, what are you comfortable doing? You know exactly what the numbers look like. We can provide you with what's called a net sheet that will show you exactly, hey, if we're gonna offer 2% or 3% and we're comfortable with those numbers moving forward, what does that look like in the overall transaction? And what does that look like for the profits you're gonna make from the sale of your home? That way, if we get an offer in from a buyer and they're requesting closing costs, we don't have to have that conversation later and delay time and delay communication back to that other buyer's agent. And they're thinking, hey, what's going on? Do they want to really work with us? Do they not? You just want to erase all of those issues or all of those potential thoughts out of people's minds by already having that plan in place, knowing, hey, if we get an offer in and they're asking for closing costs and we feel comfortable with those numbers, let's take that offer, let's move forward, let's keep this transaction going. The other thing you might think about too is, if by chance you list your home on the market, let's say at a $310,000 price mark, and you know that if we're not getting any traction in roughly 10 days, we don't really have a lot of home showings, we don't have any offers, you may already have it pre-planned to lower that price point to now 305. And then you may have another plan to lower it down to 300 because maybe that's the lowest number you're comfortable going and selling your home. But you already had that planned out ahead of time. So now, as these things come up in a real estate transaction, and they do, you can't ever perfectly predict if they will happen or when they will, but quite often they do happen. It's part of the negotiation. You're able to have your agent have more leeway and understanding on what you're willing to accept as a seller for your home, so that you can have a quick conversation, you're already on the same page, you say yes, you're comfortable with that, and then they can relay that to the buyer's agent and keep the transaction flowing, which ultimately what you want to do. Smooth transaction is everybody's perfect picture when they're selling their home, as well as for the buyer when they're buying a home. No one wants to have hiccups, no one wants to have delays, no one wants to be stuck waiting like, what's happening? Are they going to accept my offer? Do they not like my offer? And so no one likes feeling like that on the buyer side or the seller side. So preparation is key. Make sure you're preparing. And the best way to do that is having the right team to help you sell your home, like the Aulegre Real Estate at Iron Valley Real Estate, because we know what it takes to get your home sold and to make everybody happy on both sides. And communication is key to all of that. Hopefully you learned a little bit more about how you could sell your home as the market shifting into a buyer's market. Maybe you're on the fence on whether you want to sell your home, or maybe like many other people in this area, you're about to PCS transfer out of this area over across into another area. You never know, it could be overseas or it could be across the country. We've helped many clients like that right now. So we just wanted to give some tips on how to best prepare yourself to sell your home and prepare your home to be sold. And so if you liked what you heard today, hit the like button, subscribe, and the bell for notifications, as we'll definitely be putting out more great content like this, keeping things current and fresh on what's going on in the real estate market here in Hampton Roads.